This next game scenario, refocusing after timeouts and breaks. This is for coaches as well as players. For coaches, how many times has it happened during timeouts? You spell out the adjustments that need to be made. Players look as though they've heard it, and you hope that they apply it. But when they get on the court, something changes. They don't execute the play nearly as it was designed, and coaches are left scratching their heads. Players as well, knowing that the first thing that goes when you're overly anxious and nervous is your memory. It shouldn't surprise players and coaches that happens. So players need to be instructed to, throughout timeout, take care of what you need first. If it's water, take care of any kind of needs injury-wise. And then players need to find some time to relax, especially if it's a tight game. Maybe you're in a game 5, you're a little fatigued, so your focus tends to stagger a little bit. You need to find some way to kind of collect yourself prior to the coach talking, whether that's through a deep breath that I mentioned earlier, whether that's through coming up with a refocusing routine. But so prior to the coach talking to you, you're ready to listen. And after the coach talks, hopefully if you need some more water to take care of that. So when you enter into the court, you're ready, you have in your head exactly what you need to do on this next play call. For coaches, making sure the players are given time before you speak and after you speak is usually a pretty good thing to do. That way, again, the players' needs are taken care of. You may even give them an extra minute just to kind of go over the play in their mind on the bench before entering onto the court. I've seen so many times opponents that we play, their coach is talking right up until the whistle, and then the players run out there and they really haven't had time to think about it, what their roles are, and how they plan on executing. So just like all other aspects of the game, there are good ways of doing it and poor ways of doing it. I actually have coaches practice timeouts. So the coaches can go through their timing, how much time to give them before they talk and after, and the players are given time to kind of go through this timeout routine. I know it may be the little things, but as coaches we always say the little things add up to big things. So I think the timeout and also the break is very important as well. The break between games 2 and 3, if the coach talks too long, doesn't give the players time to take care of their needs, and then also give them time, again, just like the timeouts, give them a little time to assimilate, give them a little time to think about, okay, what am I going to do in game 3? In terms of breaks, I've seen it at USC from time to time. First 2 games were playing wonderful. And then we have the break, make some adjustments, and then our game goes south for a little while. Not too sure whether it was a coaching, whether it was a player factor, but the main problem is that something disconnected. Something stopped our momentum between games 2 and 3. And timeouts and breaks should be a great time to regroup, refocus, re-energize, but then keep up the standard, if not take it to the next level. So coaches, if you're having problems with your players serving into the net after a timeout, or the first serve after a break, the play's a little sour, it's not as sharp, then you may want to look at what exactly are you doing during timeouts and breaks. Is there something that you could do to sharpen that time? In terms of coaching points, making sure that you give little points, simple points, and don't lecture to the players. We can only accept 3 to 5 informational bits, and then the rest of it is forgotten about. So again, very important to give the players some time after you speak, so then they're able to think about, visualize maybe, what they will do with those coaching points and how they plan on making adjustments and getting back into the match. What has been used in the past to really ensure during a timeout, especially because those timeouts are pretty short, to make sure that you have the players' attention, is to come up with maybe a team routine. And this was used at the University of Nebraska. Their football program used this cue called ready. And this was actually in their huddle. The quarterback would say ready, and he would keep repeating ready until he had all of the players' eyes looking at him and they were focused. So coaches, you could do the same thing in terms of whether it's ready, whether it's another word that you would like to use. So after you give the players some time to take care of their needs and you want them to be focused in on you, come up with a word that you practice, and the word that they know means, hey, we need to listen to coach. we need to get clicked in here. So that may be something that you coaches could use as well. And players, once you hear that word, that should mean I need to stop thinking about what I'm thinking about, and I need to focus in on what coach has to say. Try it. It's going to work for you, especially in timeouts. Coaches wanting to give as much information as possible, make as many adjustments as possible, but you want to make sure that before the players leave the bench that they're giving something productive, all right? Especially getting on a player throughout a timeout, especially in a negative, demeaning type way. That player is usually going to take that with them on the court. Probably not what the coach intended, but that's usually how it is portrayed. So it's very important, and something that I picked up from our football coach here, Pete Carroll, is that he wants to catch the players doing things right, and he wants them to remember prior to stepping back onto the field what they did well versus what they're not doing, because players will always remember that more so than what they're doing well. So prior to ending a timeout, just closing out the timeout with something motivating, something productive will usually have a very, very beneficial impact on the players as they're heading back out onto the court.